Hello, everyone. Welcome to Christopher's Entertainment Blog. I'm your host, Chris, and welcome to another review video for The Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 12, entitled Not Tomorrow Yet. Some of the positives that I had in this episode, the beginning, I really liked that song choice that they had at the beginning, and then with Carol, and I was like, oh, well, maybe we're going to get a Carol more centric episode, and it was pretty much more centered around on her more throughout this episode, which was nice. I really like that she's like the mother of the whole group, to where she's baking the cookies and passing them out, and she really likes to take care of everybody. And then then she seems like she's going to be in relationship with that. I forget the guy's name right now, but it looks like she's going to be in a relationship, and out of and that's also a negative for me, is that there seems to be a lot of relationships happening. I mean, we have Rick and Michonne happening all of a sudden really fast, and then we have Abraham, the Rosita and Sasha thing going on there. I don't know what's happening with that. And there's the relationship with Tara and the doctor Denise. That is probably one of the more awkward ones, though. I mean, that whole kiss that they had, just the two actresses just looked like, yeah, I don't really want to do this. That's what it looked like to me. It looked very awkward for them, and that whole relationship, I think, is just way off for me. I mean, it just doesn't. I mean, I don't know. I mean, what is the point of the Denise? I mean, all she is like this. She's just a doctor, and without her being a doctor, I mean, what else has she done? Not, I don't know, just not very much. But another positive for me, I just have to say, the positive for me is the entire raid, though. I mean, that entire raid was just a huge positive. The way that they set that up at the very beginning, tricking those two guys at the beginning, and then slitting that dude's throat, so like Hitman like, and then stabbing that other guy, taking those guys out in the beds. That is some cold blooded killing there. I mean, they had to go into a dark place to be able to go into this compound and straight up murder these people. They don't know who the heck these people are, what their relationships are with everybody. I mean, they don't know who these people are. I mean, do they have family? Do they have kids? Do they have wives? I mean, they don't know. I mean, they're just straight up going in there and stabbing these guys through the eye into the brain, and just like, acting like they're already dead, like walkers. I mean, that's straight up cold blooded killing there. Um, that whole conversation in the church, though, before going on this raid, with Morgan standing up and saying, why can't we just be rational and go ask them? I can see where Morgan's coming from. He is probably the one that's right. This is what I believe. I think he's actually the one that's right in a civilized world. But unfortunately, things are not civilized anymore. That where this group is not an innocent group, the Saviors. They are actually a bunch of cold-blooded murderers too. I mean, they wanted to. They stopped Sasha and Abraham and Daryl on the road. They were just robbing them and probably going to kill them as well. So I mean, they want to straight up kill people too. And then even in the compound, they see that one guy's room, and he's got all the pictures up on the wall of all the people that they've murdered. I'm like, okay, even though I really do like, I really want to agree with Morgan. I really do, because he was probably the one that's right and has he's probably the one that's probably the best answer, is what he said. I mean, let's negotiate. In a civilized world, that's what they should do. They should be the diplomat. They should try to negotiate with these people to see if they can, create some type of an agreement without violence. That's probably the right thing to do. But unfortunately, it's not so. It's not really that cut and dry. This group is probably not going to negotiate. They're already extorting this other group for food, holding their member hostage. So, yeah, it makes sense with what Rick was saying. After you see that these guys are cold-blooded killers, and they're not very good people, let's just, be done with it. So I kind of agree with both, but I think the Rick's position was probably the right one, unfortunately, in this situation. Morgan in this episode, he wasn't a negative for me, but I could certainly tell that it was more of an observation and a negative, that he is out of place in Rick's group. He is so far out of place. He doesn't fit in with anybody. He's got enemies of Carol and Rosita. I mean, they're wanting to tell the whole group of what Morgan done, holding that wolf hostage there in the compound. So I mean, there's some a little bit of mixed bad blood going on there with Morgan. They really don't know. Even though Carol was like, well, he was trying to help and trying to rationalize it, but it seems like the group may turn on Morgan eventually because his views of not killing, and everyone feels that they have to kill and they have to be ruthless and this and that to survive. And Morgan is leading a very diplomatic philosophy to no killing and being civilized, which is probably the right thing to do. But unfortunately, like I said, in this world, it doesn't seem like that is the best choice of action a lot of the time, unfortunately. But he just seems so out of place, and you can certainly tell it. And then later on in that scene, when he's like welding something and then he's like crying, I mean, he's emotional. He is so close to snapping. I think he knows that if he goes back to this way of killing again, he's going to go into a dark place where he's just going to start straight up murdering everybody again, just like he was doing in that flashback episode we got with him. He was in a dark place. He was killing innocent people. He was killing walkers. He was ready to kill everybody and anybody. So he knows he doesn't want to go back to that place again. So it certainly makes sense why Morgan doesn't want to kill. He doesn't want to go back to that place anymore. And unfortunately, there might be something happen with Morgan where he just explodes. I mean, he seems like he's like a powder keg right now. Like he's about ready to explode. I mean, he wants to do the right thing, but I think he's got some demons there. I mean, I don't think it's going to be very good for Morgan in upcoming episodes. I really don't. But a few other negatives. Maggie, Maggie in this episode was a negative because why the heck was she there? Why did she come along? I mean, it made no sense to me. Even Carol was like, "Why are you here?" It makes no freaking sense. So that was certainly a negative. I mean, she's carrying a baby. I mean, what is she gonna do? I mean, she's got to put the child. For me personally, I think she has to put the child first and protect the unborn baby. I mean, why? I mean, now they're captured. So, I mean, that made no sense to me. Um, Abraham in this episode, his action was a negative because he was stupid, because he's the one that caused the whole thing to fall apart in the raid. He's the one that was paying attention to what Sasha was doing instead of paying the attention what was going behind him. I'm like, pay attention to the rear, dude. What the hell are you doing? And that's exactly what happened. The guy comes out of the room and he ends up hitting the alarm, and it just that falls apart. I mean, that was a big negative. I was like, wow, you can't be that stupid, really. But I really, really enjoyed the episode, guys. And unfortunately, it was like a setup to the next episode to find out what's going on here with Maggie and Carol. Hopefully, we'll get like a flashback of how they got captured and everything, because we didn't really see that. But yeah, that should be awesome, and I can't wait for next week. I was really expecting this episode to have not the whole raid. I thought it was only going to be like half the raid, and then something was going to fall apart, and then they would have like a cliffhanger. But yeah, we got the whole raid, and it was awesome. That raid was probably one of the best things they've done in all the seasons. I mean, that was probably the best thing they've ever done. Insane. I really, really loved it. But yeah, guys, please write in the comments below what you liked about this episode or what you didn't like about this episode. That will do it for me for this week for the Walking Dead review, guys. I will see you next week. Thanks a lot. Take it easy.